Hello, today I'm going to talk about Cartoon Network. This channel used to be my favorite television channel when I was a kid and I watched it all the time. However, since then it became one of the worst channels ever. So I am going to say my opinion about many Cartoon Network shows. I'm going to give each one a rating from 0 to 5. I'm going to start with the Cartoon Network original shows. I will talk about shows I like and shows I hate. Those that aren't mentioned are shows that I don't like, but I don't hate them. Let's start with Dexter's Laboratory. This is one of my favorite shows. It is funny, very original, and the characters are likable. It is a great cartoon for kids and adults. This show gets a 5 from me. The next Cartoon Network original that premiered is Johnny Bravo, and as a kid I hated it. However, this has changed. I really like this show now, and it is another cartoon that many children and adults watch. It is really funny, and my favorite episode is when Johnny meets the Scooby-Doo gang. I'll give this show a 4 out of 5. Next is Cow and Chicken. This is the first Cartoon Network show that I hate. The reason is very simple. I don't think that this show is funny, and I don't like cartoons that try to be entertaining with a combination of weird, random, and pointless. I mean, a cow and a chicken are siblings. Their parents only have the lower parts of their body, and their cousin is a boneless chicken. There are also several other weird characters, but they don't appear that often. The thing I hate most about this show is that in many episodes cow and chicken are eating pig butts. That is just gross and really not funny. The only likable character in this show is the red guy, because he is funny and sarcastic. Also, what the heck were the creators of this show thinking when they made the episode Buffalo Gals? And another thing, how did this get past the censors? Anyway, I'll give this show a 2 out of 5 because the red guy is funny. Now I'll talk about one of the best Cartoon Network shows, the Powerpuff Girls. This show is very creative, funny, entertaining, and it never gets old. I really like that every Powerpuff Girl has her own personality and that every villain is special. I really hate that Cartoon Network banned the final episode of this show. I was lucky enough to see it on Cartoon Network Europe in 2005. If someone hasn't seen it, go and watch it on the internet. It's epic. This is a show I recommend everybody to watch, and it gets a 5 from me. In the 90s there was also a short-lived Cartoon Network show that I really don't like. It is Mike, Lou and Og. The reason is very simple. It was boring and not entertaining. Also, the animation was bad. It gets a 2 from me. My favorite Cartoon Network show is Courage the Cowardly Dog. This show is about Courage, who lives with his owners Muriel and Eustace Bash in the middle of nowhere. I am a fan of dark humor and this show is awesome. I could watch it day and night. And even though many weird things happen in the show, it is never pointless and everything has a meaning. The characters are very likable and funny, even Eustace, who is most known for saying,
"Stupid dog! You made me look bad!"
It is really sad that this show only lasted for 4 seasons. This show gets a 5 from me. The next show is different from other Cartoon Network shows. It's Samurai Jack. I didn't like this show when I was a kid, but now I love it. It is a real masterpiece. It never gets old, and it's a pity that it only lasted for 4 seasons. There are, however, plans for a Samurai Jack film. I'll give this show a 4.5. Next is The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, and I really love this show. It is great. It is another show that has dark humor. I really love the characters. Mandy is a girl that never smiles and always gets what she wants. She is my favorite character. Next is Grim, who lost a bet and is now forced to be Billy's and Mandy's friend forever. And Billy, who is a complete idiot, but unlike most idiots in cartoons today, he is funny and not annoying. I really hate that Cartoon Network Europe removed the show soon after the last episodes premiered. It is a show that many kids and adults watch, and it gets a 5 from me. Next is Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. I really like this show. At first I wasn't a fan of it, but that changed soon. I really like that every character has its own personality. The only character that I think can be annoying sometimes is Blue. Anyway, this is a funny show and it gets a 4 from me. And now comes a show that I think is Cartoon Network's last great show. It's Hi Puffy AmiYumi. It is one of the last modern cartoons that is close to the classic cartoons. Each episode is 7 minutes long, it's funny, there's no toilet humor and it pays homage to several older shows. It also features great songs, and this is the reason why I became a fan of Puffy AmiYumi. The animation of this show is very unique. However, some people complain that some background characters look ugly. Seriously, what did you expect? Many shows have background characters like this, like the Powerpuff Girls or Samurai Jack. Even though Ami and Yumi are different as day and night, they are best friends. Cass on the other side is really greedy and will do anything for money, but he is also a likable character. At first I wasn't interested in this show. One day I watched an episode starring Cass and the cats Young King and Takerai. That episode was really funny and it reminded me of Tom and Jerry. Shortly after that I started watching this show and became a big fan of it. Sadly, Cartoon Network cancelled this show after 3 seasons and they didn't even show some of the final episodes. Low ratings weren't the reason for its cancellation, since all 3 seasons had really good ratings and season 2 had the second highest ratings in 2005 from the Cartoon Network premiering shows. Also, Cartoon Network ordered a 4th season in early 2006. So what went wrong? I think the reason why it was cancelled is because the show's creator used to be the vice president from Cartoon Network and he left Cartoon Network in 2006. The creator of this show also came up with the idea of the internet site Cartoon Orbit, which was also shut down in 2006. Anyway, after its cancellation I started searching the internet for episodes of this show, and when I had about 20 episodes I uploaded them on TubeWatcher, and every time I found a new episode I uploaded it there. In 2009 another user bought the DVD box of this show and uploaded all episodes from the 2nd and 3rd season in English. Before that, most of the unaired episodes on the internet were in Japanese or German. This show is one of my favorites, and the only thing I don't like about this show is that Cartoon Network cancelled it, and it is because of that a cliffhanger. Anyway, it still gets a 5 out of 5. The next show that premiered is Juniper Lee. This show wasn't that bad, but the thing that bothers me is that this show is a ripoff of Jake Long, American Dragon. Some of the similarities are: number 1, their parents had their generation skipped. Number 2, both are Chinese Americans. Number 3, both have a talking dog with magical knowledge. Number 4, they have the same initials, Juniper Lee, Jake Long. Number 5, their grandparents are their mentors. Number 6, they are celebrities in the magical world. Number 7, both have a troublesome sibling that also has magical powers. Number 8, they have awkward friends. And number 9, their responsibility is destroying their lives. This show also has many plot holes. In one episode, a female monster saves her father, Cordot, by making clones from Juniper and her friends. In the end, the Juniper says they are harmless and it seems that they are no longer enemies. However, in another episode, Cordot and his daughter are imprisoned in a cinema and the daughter has a grudge against Juniper. Later there was an episode where it says that every recurrent Tejwanzi has to stay in Orchid Bay City and they can't leave until one of their children takes their place. The problem is that every ancestor of Juniper is Chinese, and Orchid Bay is in the United States of America. Also, one of her friends finds out that she isn't a normal girl, and guess what happens after she sees Juniper using her powers? The show gets cancelled. Anyway, this show is okay. It's not good, but it also isn't bad. It gets a 3 from me. Next is Camp Lazlo. At first I thought this show was okay, but it later became really stupid and unfunny. Most characters in this show are either stupid or annoying, and only two characters aren't like this, Edward and Scoutmaster Lumpus. I remember an episode where a migrating tree comes to the camp and Lumpus tries to chop it down. However, the scouts trick him into marrying the tree and he falls in love with it. If this isn't crazy enough, the tree later moves to another location and sends pictures to Lumpus of her and two smaller trees that have antlers. I also remember another episode where Lazlo and his two friends were searching for an endangered rock and actually found it. Also once they milled a stone and the two dung beetle brothers planted a sausage and a stethoscope tree grew out of it. This show gets a 2 from me. Next is My Gym Partner's a Monkey. This is one of the worst cartoons I have ever seen. The characters are idiots and really unlikable. There are no real jokes except toilet humor and butt jokes. The monkey is obsessed with his butt and he talks about it all the time. The episodes of this show were boring and not funny. No surprise, since 90% of each episode is about the monkey's butt. One episode even contained so many butt jokes that Cartoon Network stopped airing it. The biggest surprise is that this show lasted for 4 seasons and even had a television movie. This show gets a 1 from me, and it is by far not the worst Cartoon Network show. Next is Ben 10. This show is okay but nothing special. It is really overrated. The thing that bothers me the most is that every other Cartoon Network show can only have 78 episodes, but Ben 10 is for some reason an exception. When the original show got cancelled, Ben 10 Alien Force premiered, and when this show got cancelled, another Ben 10 show premiered. This show also has several plot holes. The one that bothers me the most is that Gwen has in the first show magical powers and is using magical spells. But in Ben 10 Alien Force, her grandmother comes and tells her that there is no such thing as magic and that she has alien powers. However, later in another episode, Charmcaster attacks her to steal her magical powers. I'm giving all 3 Ben 10 shows a 3. The live-action movies, however, were terrible, and my rating for those 2 movies is 1 out of 5. Another stupid show from Cartoon Network is Squirrel Boy. This show is even worse than My Gym Partner's a Monkey. It's another show about a boy and his pet, and that's about it. Just like Jake Spider Monkey, Rodney the Squirrel is a really unlikable character. He is annoying, stupid, and causes all the time problems. The only likable character in this show is Andy's father. Why? Because I feel sorry for him. Rodney is turning his life into a living hell. Well, anyway, this show sucked and it barely lasted for 2 seasons. Also, the animation of this show was really bad. This show gets a 0 from me. And now comes even a crappier Cartoon Network show, Class of 3000. For some time I thought this was the worst Cartoon Network show. The characters are really unlikable, the songs were bad, and it wasn't funny. Cartoon Network thought that this show will be successful, and the plot episode of this show is even an hour-long TV special. However, it got very bad ratings and it barely lasted for 2 seasons. Also, shortly after it was cancelled, it got sued. However, Cartoon Network gave this show for some reason more chances than other shows. They even had a show on their internet site until 2010. Then they removed everything that even mentioned this show. Better late than never. Apparently this show was used to replace Hi Puffy AmiYumi. Fail. Just fail. This show gets a 0 from me.